Okay guys, welcome back to the Frugal Homestead. Now, first and foremost, yes, I know that I'm dressed like a total peasant or a hobo. That's because I'm going to be spraying bleach today. And if I ruin any more of my decent clothes, my wife will kill me. I'm sure you guys have all been in the same position, but just off the bat, I'm going to have to ask for a like, and I'll tell you why. Because what I've got to go through to make this video happen is going to be kind of crappy. So today we're going to be going down to the deer stands. They're enclosed blinds with decks on top that we hunt off of. And I've let them fall into disrepair, honestly. Like almost a year and a half, 2 years of disrepair. It's really bad. So today we're going to assess the damage, figure out what we need, and bleach it out. That way they're ready to go. Now, the caveat to this, bow season has already started, which means these will basically be no good for the next week because of the smell. Second part. Yeah, I was coming down the hill in my truck and we got down trees here and we got down trees down there. So basically I have to pack all the stuff in, walk it all out manually to do this. Kind of sucks, wasn't expecting it, but these are the way things go. So if you could go down and hit that like button for me having to walk through all this and carry all this stuff down here, plus camera gear, plus setup shots, it would be greatly appreciated. So let's grab the stuff and let's get down here and start checking out the damage and get to work. Alright guys, so we made it to the tree stand. Now, my dad built these years and years ago when he owned this property. But since then, some wildlife's moved in and started really tearing it up. I mean, all the damage is rough. And I'm sure that it's worse than when the last time I was down here. So we're gonna go inside, take a look. But first, we're gonna go over the outside issues. Okay guys, so if you can see that band board, ledger board, that is for the first roof. And it has rotted out and is no good. Now what we're going to need to do is tear that out, check the ends of the rafters, see if they need scabbed on or replaced or sandwiched, you know, with a second rafter, what we're going to have to do to reinforce that. Replace that ledger board and break new metal over it. Now, if I can find it at a reasonable price, because materials are so expensive right now, I may do that ledger board in like a Trex decking that's plastic. That way we don't have this problem again. But let's go inside and I'll show you what the real problem is that's causing all this. Alright guys, so I don't think it's hard to realize what the problem is here. So let me explain what happened. This roof was sheeted and then had rubber glued down. All the edges were done correctly. Everything was done right. But one important problem. Chipmunks and squirrels chewed a hole through the plastic to get in, through the rubber to get in. So what happened is that started as one hole. And then they did it again in another spot. Started as another hole. And just expanded and rotted out the roof. Now, the problem with that is it rotted the floor. So earlier this year, after a job, I had some plywood. It's supposed to be a knockoff version of the wax-treated Vantech. Now, if you've ever seen Vantech, I've got pieces of it that have laid outside for months on end and have had no swelling. There's so much wax in them, it's almost impossible for them to hold a moisture and rot. Well, yeah, this is not that stuff. It was claimed to be, and I paid a premium price for it, but it's not that stuff. So if you're gonna go buy a good plywood, or you want something that's gonna last, spend the extra money, buy the actual Vantech. That causes a problem right now though, because in our current situation in the world right now, that plywood is normally $28 a sheet. It is now $45 a sheet. And I need 2 for each of these. And then if I use it on the roof, depending on how I do the roofs, I'd need 2 more each. So that's a lot of money to be just slapping out, basically double the cost. That sucks. Now, let's go up on top, go up to the deck, and look at that. Now, before we go up though, I do have to say that I believe the lower one has a broken window in it that we've got to address as well. But we'll get to the lower one here in a minute. Right now, let's get up here, get on top, look at the deck and the overlook, and see how it's looking. Okay, so overall it doesn't look too bad. The floor has never been treated, the decking, but the water comes straight down through here and then straight down into that roof. The long-term solution to this is going to be to come up above here and build a roof. Now, that's not in the cards anytime soon. I can't go out and drop double what it would normally cost to put a roof on this thing in the current conditions. Plus, it needs some other structural stuff done that I want to do. So, not this year, but next spring, we have some old truck caps up there at the house that we're going to actually bring down and we're going to put up on top of here. I may do some light framing to connect it to, but that should shuttle away most of the rain and give something for the snow to sit on rather than down there. Some will still get down there, but not near as much. And it's just a cost-effective way to do it temporarily. It will take 2 or 3 guys to get it up here. They're fiberglass caps though, they're kind of heavy, but they're free. Later I will frame a full overhang roof on top of this with a metal roof on top of that, and that should pretty much take the brunt of the force, but I want to wait till I can get some really heavy gauge metal at a good price. That said, I need to get to bleaching this thing, and then next spring we'll come down and do a light bleach when we do the cap, and then I will actually come down and stain or paint all of this. Now the long-term effect in the inside is I want to get some real Vantech put down, and then buy something like a Durabac, which is a coating that they use on like helicopter pads or bed liners, or even if I had to go get some kind of canned cheap bed liner. Or another option that I thought about is using my silicone metal roofing seal, something that I can put on that floor that's going to be like a forever seal. I know it'll make it a pain if I ever want to do it in the future, but if I can make it like a bathtub in there to where it won't rot anymore, at least from the top side, that'd be great in case it does leak a little bit. So today we're going to bleach this one out, and then I'll go show you the other one, and the other one's a lot worse, guys, and I mean a lot worse. So let's get started. So I've got this all up here coated. It's not going to be perfect. I mean, I didn't do a great job cleaning it anyways, but I soaked it down real good. I'm just trying to hold back the green from growing, from the outside. That's what starts your initial rotting process as it breaks down the outside layer of the wood. That said, this is going to have to be done again before I come down and stain it in the spring. But let's go inside, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do in there to try and make it so we're not breathing in nasty mold spores when we're down in here hunting. Alright, so inside I don't have a lot of options here. Basically, I'm going to spray everything with bleach to kill it off. Now, the floor is not so much about us dealing with it this year because I'm going to have to tear all this out. There's just no ways about it. It's all got to get ripped out. Now, the ceiling, however, there's not much I can do about that. My plan is to cover this with metal. Once I put that new front plate on, putting purlin stock on top and covering it with metal, sliding it in, notching it out. It's not going to be a perfect fix, but it's going to be a pretty good fix. It should last us until the spring till we start making bigger changes to solve the problem. Now, the guys are going to be hunting in here this year. I don't want them breathing this crap. So I'm going to spray everything down on the inside, and then I'll come back down and change out the flooring and work on the metal roof. That'll be part 2 of this video. So for now, let's get the nasty done and get this sprayed out. Alright guys, so that one's all bleached out and ready to go. I've explained the plans of that one to you. Now, that mixture I used was half a gallon of bleach, 1 gallon of water, and a little bit of antibacterial Dawn dish soap. I would warn you guys not to use that in enclosed situations because you can actually burn your lungs from the smell from it, because that's a very, very strong mixture. All right. It also can cause pneumonia-like symptoms from burns in your lungs. So be very careful when you're using bleach. It's a lot stronger than people give it credit for, especially in enclosed spaces when you're breathing it, because usually your lungs get burnt before you even really know it, and then you're done, you're screwed. That said, I have to take responsibility for letting these fall into disrepair. I'm not making excuses for myself, but if you're a homesteader or a farmer or you have property, it takes a lot of upkeep, and you kind of have to band-aid things and prioritize what's important to get done and what's not. I have not put enough emphasis on these, and I plan to remedy that in the future, but I take full responsibility for letting them fall into disrepair. It solely falls on my shoulders to make sure these are maintained. We do have other wire style or metal chair style stands on the property, but these are supposed to be for bad weather and for young hunters. So I really need to do a better job of keeping up on these. Now let's go look at the other one, which I feel really bad about letting that one fall into heavy disrepair, and I don't think we're going to be able to afford to get that one back together this year. Now we will get it bleached out down there, and we will be able to hunt off the top of it, but I don't even think you can walk on the floor inside. And for cost-effective means, it's best to get this one up and running and back to 100%, and then repair that one in the spring with everything else. So let's go take a look at how bad it is, but I'm pretty sure it's real bad. Alright guys, so now we're down at the lower stand. I can't remember which one my buddy Matt calls this one. I think he calls this one the Italian Villa. I'm not sure. But anyways, we're at the lower stand. I like coming down here because we got buckeyes on the ground. I like to pick a few up for my granddaughter, but this one's roof is not as bad holes wise, but the floor is way worse. So let's go inside and take a closer look. So the first thing we can see is we got that broken window there. If I don't have one that fits it, I can get that one repaired. But it goes here, which is one of the reasons why it's leaking. Somebody's been down here messing with it because the windows are open. And I just closed these when we were down here working on the bridge over there. So somebody's been in here. That said, bird's nest, mouse nest. And I don't even want to pick that up because I know there's gonna be something nested under there, but over here's the problem. Oh, somebody's been in here. All completely gone, shot. So that floor is real bad, which means all this is going to have to come out, because I'm sure underneath all this trash and stuff back here in the corner is a mess. So that said, we're going to get the windows closed. Let's go take a look up on top, sweep it off, and see how bad it looks up there. Now this is going to be the same kind of thing. Put metal on, put a truck cap on it in the spring, New flooring, coated, bathtub, the whole thing, whole redo on this thing. We haven't figured out yet if we're going to tape off the windows and just spray the inside with paint. We're still talking about that, or maybe a sealer, but we're definitely talking about that. So let's get up on top and see how bad the damage is. Alright guys, so here's where we're at. I sprayed everything down. The wood looks pretty good. It actually isn't even as bad. The decking boards aren't as bad as they are up there. But I went inside to try and close the windows, and number one, I tried to step on a base plate of the front wall because the floor is so rotten, and actually the base plate started to fall through. So definitely gonna have to address this. May have to turn this into my winter project, because it may not wait till spring, or it may just be harder in spring if I wait. That said, I did spray the inside with some bleach. Not necessarily for like mold killing, but I mean, it'll help when I clean it out. But more to let animals know that this is not your home. And basically tell them you don't want to come in here and stay because it smells. Now that said, these two stands are pretty much ruined for hunting for about a week or two. Now that might be shortened because it's supposed to rain Sunday really hard most of the day, and that might knock down a lot of the smell, but animals are pretty smart, so I would say leave these alone for 2 to 3 weeks. And we're getting into the season, so I need to get down here and get done what I need to get done. But we appreciate you guys coming along with us here. Like I said, I take full responsibility for this. I'm not going to sit here and blame it on anything. I should have got this done. I should have made time to get this done, or put other projects off that weren't as important. Now you got to make sure you watch for part 2, or as many parts as it takes to get them finished. Those will be upcoming. But you know, it's not all roses here on the homestead. Stuff's got to get taken care of, and if you don't, and if you put it off, these things happen. And I'll be the first to tell you that I have a lot of things like this happen where it costs me more in the long run because I didn't deal with it. That's just part of the homesteader lifestyle. You better get used to it. You know, so I'll be spending a lot of my free time down here rushing to get this done before full-blown deer season hits. But if you liked the video, take a moment, go down and hit the like button. If you didn't like it, you can hit the dislike button. I understand. But from all of us here at the Frugal Homestead, we hope you're having a safe and healthy time in this crazy part of the world and the things that are going on in the world at this moment. And if you haven't already, take a moment, go down, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. That way you can see all these upcoming videos of me cleaning up this mess, and we'll see you in the next one. I got a long hike to get out of here. I got to get going.